In the rich, symbolic tapestry of Norse mythology, where gods rule the skies and giants walk the earth, there exists a lesser-known but deeply meaningful goddess named Fefion, a variant spelling of Gefjon, whose legend bridges the divine with the geographical and the feminine with the foundational forces of creation. Fefion is a goddess of land, fertility, virginity, and transformation. Her myth, rooted in both awe and agricultural symbolism, tells of divine ingenuity, maternal strength, and the sacred act of shaping the earth itself. While often referenced under the more common spelling Gefjon, Fefion's story remains consistent across sources. She is a goddess of the Aesir, though her nature bears strong Vanir characteristics, associated with nature, fertility, and prosperity. Her most famous myth centers around the founding of Zealand, Sjælland, the largest island of Denmark, and her legendary feat of plowing land away from Sweden and placing it in the sea, an act that blends myth with geography in a powerful metaphor of creation. According to Heimskringla, the medieval Norse saga written by Snorri Sturluson, the Swedish king Gylfi promised Fefion as much land as she could plow in one night and one day. A promise few might take literally, but Fefion was no ordinary woman. Calling upon her 4 sons, giants whom she had with a Jotun, she transformed them into massive oxen. With their might and her will, they plowed so deeply and forcefully that an entire section of Sweden was torn away, carried across the sea, and transformed into the island of Zealand. The gouged-out area in Sweden became what is now known as Lake Mälaren, or, in some versions of the myth, Lake Vänern. Fefion's myth is a celebration of feminine strength and divine agency. She accomplishes through cleverness and brute force what kings could only dream of, shaping a nation from the soil up. This act of divine land formation places her in a unique position among Norse deities, marking her as not only a goddess of fertility, but one of sovereignty, boundary setting, and territorial creation. In a culture that revered land ownership and farming, Fefion was the goddess who created fertile land where none existed before. The name Fefion, or Gefjon, has roots in Old Norse and may relate to the word gefa, meaning to give. This connection reinforces her role as a giver of land, fertility, and fortune. But she is also associated with virginity, specifically receiving maidens who died unmarried into her protection, an attribute that symbolized purity, independence, and unclaimed potential. This duality, goddess of both untouched purity and earth-moving power, reveals a deep understanding of feminine divinity in ancient Norse culture. Her story was so resonant that it became embedded in later Danish cultural identity. In Copenhagen, the Gefjon fountain stands as a monument to her might. Completed in 1908 and designed by Anders Bundgaard, it depicts Fefion driving her 4 oxen, muscles rippling as they tear up the land. The fountain is more than a tourist attraction. It is a mythic symbol of Danish creation, echoing the ancient belief that gods and goddesses actively shape the world's landscape. Beyond her mythic feat, Fefion represents the transformative power of intention. She did not wait for land to be given to her. She took it, with determination, intellect, and a sense of purpose. Her story may be interpreted as a metaphor for female sovereignty, where a woman carves out space in a male-dominated world, asserting her divine right to create and govern. It is no coincidence that her tale endures in cultures where land, lineage, and law were deeply intertwined. In neo-pagan and modern heathen practices, Fefion is honored as a patroness of farmers, land workers, independent women, and those seeking to claim their rightful place in the world. Her myth is evoked in rituals of empowerment and grounding, especially in contexts where spiritual or personal land, whether metaphorical or literal, is being claimed or reclaimed. Though she may not appear frequently in the Poetic Edda or Prose Edda, Fefion's impact is nonetheless profound. Her tale is not about warfare or prophecy, but about agency and authorship, the ability to change the landscape with one's own hands and will. She is the architect goddess, the earth shaper, the sovereign woman whose story bridges myth and geography in a way few others do. Fefion's mythology teaches that land is not just something inherited, it is something earned, created, and protected. Her story speaks to those who strive to carve their own destiny, create their own space, and shape the world around them through strength, vision, and resolve.